Sonic Female. Sonic. Sonic Female. Sonic. Sonic Female. You're listening to Sonic Female Podcast with Justine Blazer. Today's show is brought to you by Bootleggers Inn and Whiskey Bend Saloon in Nashville, Tennessee. Check them out on Broadway. Live music and live bands 7 days a week. Welcome to Sonic Female. I am your host, Justine Blazer. Today in studio, we have Dallas Remington. She is an amazing artist. She's a girl that grew up in Kentucky, the passion for life, music, and her faith. We're going to get into all of her accomplishments, but welcome, Dallas. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So we met a couple years ago. We were working on a show called Written Rhythm Live, which is a live showcase that I produced. So that's how I met you.
Yeah.
And I think you were only 17 at the time. Now you are only 19 years old. So how's it feel to be an old lady? No, I'm joking. But you have done some amazing things. You have actually been working super hard and seeing all of the accomplishments you've been experiencing at such a young age. How does it feel to be 19 and having, a top 40 song, Music Row Radio?
Yeah, so it's been crazy. It's been an awesome few years. We started coming to Nashville when I was 12. So it feels like it's been a really long time. And I've always been an old soul, as people call me. So I don't feel like I'm only 19, To me, in my head, I'm like, I'm 25 or whatever. But it's been pretty amazing. And the fact that the industry has accepted me the way they did at such a young age and has just radio showing me the love they have, and the entire industry in a whole showing me so much love and support. I think we went to radio with my first single when I was 16. About to be 17. So radio has showed me so much love, and I'm very thankful for them and for the support. And it's just been an amazing few years, and it's been an amazing journey so far.
It's amazing. I like your t-shirt. You guys obviously can't see, but she's wearing a Dolly Parton t-shirt. So that kind of leads me to my first question. So you're from Kentucky. You just mentioned that you've been coming to Nashville for, quite some time now, since you were 12. You've been living in Nashville for 3 years, but you said you've been kind of making the trip back and forth. So is this something that you always kind of knew you wanted to do? Were artists like Dolly Parton big inspirations for you?
Yeah, so I mean, like every kid growing up, I was like, I'm just going to be famous. I don't care what I do. I'm going to be famous, But so I feel like all little kids are like that. But I always loved to sing. I grew up singing in my church. And the first song I ever sang out in public was actually Before He Cheats by Carrie Underwood. I'm glad there's not a recording of it. Who knows what it sounded like.
I'm sure someone has that.
Oh gosh, do not let that surface. But I mean, I'm an alto. So that was even as a child, I was an alto. So that was a stretch, but that was my favorite song. And then I sang, did I say Before He Cheats? I meant Jesus Take the Wheel, because it was in church.
Yeah.
It'd be a little weird to sing Before He Cheats in church. But I sang Jesus Take the Wheel at my church. And
that's some service. I want to go that one.
That's strange. But so that was my first time singing out. And I've always loved it. And I did, plays and things through my school. And when I was 10, my brother actually moved away, or 9 or 10, my brother moved away to pursue a career in soccer. And I was alone. I started being homeschooled so I could travel to see him. But throughout the week, I was at home alone and everything. And so he was my best friend. So I basically lost my best friend. And so my grandmother encouraged me to take guitar lessons. So I started going to our local Opry and taking guitar lessons. And then they had a talent contest that I started doing. And it was called the Kentucky Opry. And they do a lot of traditional country. And that's what my mama grew up with. My mama grew up with Dolly Parton and Conway Twitty in Alabama. Her favorite band of all time is Alabama. So I'd grown up around the house hearing that kind of music. And so the first song I actually learned to sing and perform was Coal Miner's Daughter by Loretta Lynn. And just all kinds of that influence was just there from the beginning, the traditional country influence. And when I started singing at the Opry, like I said, I learned Coal Miner's Daughter, and then I was singing Crazy by Patsy Cline, and I was singing all these traditional country music. And that's ended up being what I loved. And I like to root my music in a traditional country kind of music. But I also love all kinds of different music. I was in a metal band for a while, so we add the rock in there.
Are you
So
serious?
I was
That's
a bassist in a metal band. So I add a little bit of everything into my music, but definitely like the strong women influences in my career were Loretta and Dolly and women like that, and Tammy Wynette. And I think the Tanya Tucker is like one of my favorites. Like one of the first songs I ever learned to sing was Delta Dawn, and I still sing it to this day. It's still my mama's one of her favorite songs, and I still sing that song. And so I think I got off track, but
no, it's great. You kind of have a Miranda vibe too.
Yeah, Miranda's definitely one of my favorites, and a lot of people don't know this, but actually the song that got me to Nashville was actually The House That Built Me.
Oh, wow.
Through that talent contest I was doing at the Kentucky Opry, I won my week, and when you win your week, they post a video of you, and I did The House That Built Me for that week, and when I won, they posted it, and a producer here in Nashville actually saw it and invited me to come do his TV show that he did here once a month, and then he produced a lot of live shows as well and invited me to start being on his showcases, and that's where it all started, from a Miranda Lambert song.
That's amazing. So you did The House That Built Me. That was a competition. That was the Kentucky Opry.
Yeah.
And is that something that you would sort of say like that was a moment for you that really was that turning point? Or is there something else that you sort of feel like was that moment that kind of brought you from just like singing around the house to actually, I am a female artist? What was that process for you?
Definitely getting to come to Nashville and getting to start performing a lot more, because we didn't have many places at home to perform. So when I first came to Nashville, I started performing about once a month here, and I ended up with a residency over at Opryland at one of the venues over there. And so I got to play, but I was doing, like the 3-hour cover sets and doing all kinds of songs. I wasn't writing my own music. So I feel like the turning point for me was when I actually started writing my music and believing myself as a writer, and I started doing rounds and getting to meet writers, and I'd always taken it very serious. I knew this was what I wanted to do, but things started connecting. I ended up in an artist development program for performance, and everything is just kind of falling into place. And we're very faith-based, and we like to go to whatever we feel like is the door that God is opening for us. And so we've been very thankful and very blessed that God has opened some amazing doors.
Yes.
And we're just beyond thankful for him and for the path he's given us so far.
It's amazing to pay tribute to that, because a lot of artists, don't follow that. So I'm personally faith-based as well, and it's refreshing to see other people in the same caliber. So you have been doing 100+ shows a year, solo and full band. That's quite amazing for being only 19. You can't even really get into these bars.
No, not around here we can't.
to at least drink. So where are you playing? What is your sort of working schedule right now?
Right now we're doing basically everything. We're doing anything from picnics in parishes, or bars here in Nashville, or we're going down to Pensacola in a little bit to do a bar gig down there, and doing a whole run of shows just at different kinds of venues. So we do festivals, we do city events. We're doing the 4th of July for the city of Richmond, Kentucky. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We're getting a headline. So that's going to be a great show. We just basically anywhere we can play, we like to play,
Have you been opening for some different artists as well? Have you been able to do that?
Over the years, we've been able to open for some great people. I do a lot of events, like I said, through cities. So we get to open for people throughout city events and different things. So we opened for Ben Haggard and Dylan Carmichael and Walker Montgomery. That was really awesome. And I got to open for Pam Tillis when I was 12.
Oh, wow.
So there's been a bunch of people over the years, and it's been awesome. So we're working towards doing more of that, because not only do I get to open for them, but then most of the time, I get to enjoy the concerts and get to see the people that are paving the way for me.
Yeah, love that. I just love Pam Tillis. I love her song.
Yes.
Maybe it was Memphis. So, being a young female artist, how do you respond to being in such a powerful role as a country female artist in today's world and society? Being only 19, what has been sort of something that you've been able to use to your advantage, and what are some of the disadvantages of you being in this role? I'm just curious to hear your take on that.
Yeah, well, definitely. They say it's a 10-year town. So I say my first trip ever to come to Nashville as a singer, I was 11, about to turn 12. So I'm like, maybe I'll make it. The youth is the advantage. Maybe by the time I'm 21, that 10-year mark. But so basically, because I got here so younger, it was kind of an advantage, because I've met so many people, and they've watched me grow, and they've seen me grow as an artist. And I don't really know of any disadvantages, but just because of the people I have surrounded myself with.
Sure.
Have supported me. And we've just, entire industry, I mean, they welcomed me in, and I've had some amazing people and an amazing support system and an amazing team that they work for my career as hard as they would work if it was their own career. And I can never be thankful enough to have a team that is that way and that believes in me so much, even though I was so young when they met me. And I mean, one of the people on my management team I met when I was 13 at my very first, or 14 at my very first scheduled riders round. She was playing the round with me, and now she's here with me, helping me do everything. She's riding with me. She's booking me with other riders. She's getting me meetings, and she's believed in me since the time I was 14 or 15, you know. And so I'm just very thankful to have people that could see what I probably couldn't even see back then, you know. But the fact that they saw it in me and they've stuck with me and they've supported me, and like our promotions team, they have been absolutely amazing. And just everybody from the artist development team to everything, they've just been absolutely amazing. And I can never be thankful enough for the team that has been put around me, and that even though I, like I said, was so young, they supported it and they believed in the music anyways.
Yeah, that's amazing. So you have several tracks on country radio right now. You had Never Turned Around, which landed number 37 on the Music Row Country Breakout chart. And then you also have Found Her Freedom, which was released summer of 2017. That hit number 60. And then you have a new single coming out we'll talk about in just a second. But talking about those two previous singles, what was the process to get such a high position on the charts, which I've done that route. It's very hard to get even, 37. So what was your process to getting that? Did you do a radio tour? Like, what was a way for you to really break through that?
Yeah. So when we released Found Her Freedom, I was 17, I guess. And we went out and started meeting with all the radio stations. So we did this big, long radio tour. We haven't met all of the stations yet, which obviously we can't meet all of the stations in the country, but we are, like she said, targeting the Music Row reporting charts, or reporting stations. So we went out and we did a radio tour for that, which we're still continuing the radio tour. But when we came out with Found Her Freedom, we were just overwhelmed at the response by it and the response to it. It was my first single ever. We only had one promoter at that point. So it was just me, my mom, and our radio promoter, Jennifer. And we all just worked our butts off. We did radio tour constantly. Jennifer was on the phone constantly, just getting people to play it. And the fact that they said it is really rare for an independent artist for their first single to get top 100. It's extremely rare for them to get top 80, which is charting. And the fact that we got top 60 just still blows my mind with our first single ever. I'd never released a song before that besides like covers, to YouTube. Sure. So it still blows my mind that we did that. And I think about it and it's like, oh my goodness, that happened. And then when Never Turned Around came around, we started, it was just me, mom, and Jennifer as well. And we were doing the radio tour, and we ended up bringing on Bar Frog Music as well to bring in another promoter just to give it another little push. And Bar Frog and Jennifer and all of us combined, we just worked, and we're like, okay, we got top 60 with this one, with Found Her Freedom. We've got to get top 40 with this one. That was our goal. Mm-hmm. So when we did our final push and we went to 37, I literally, y'all can't see it, but I have like lash extensions, and I literally just got my lash extensions done that morning. I was in a right and I got a text that said, we're number 37 this week. And I just broke down in tears. And you're not supposed to cry when you have lash extensions, but I was like, I don't care. I'm not. It was literally the craziest thing to me. I was in the middle of a write and my writers looked at me and they're like, what happened? What did we say? And I was like, guys, we just broke the top 40.
Oh, wow.
With our second single. So that was just absolutely nuts to me. And it still is. When I think about it, I'm tearing up now, and I just got my lashes done again this morning.
Don't do it.
Quit crying.
Come on, girl.
They're going to clump up. But so
they look fabulous though. By the way, I couldn't see it from afar, but
to the mic. Yeah. Thank you. See, I was telling, like I was saying earlier, I think we were talking off air. We've looked at this as we're our own record label. We want to do everything like a record label would do it. And we have a team. There's about 6 or 7 of us, and we all each have our jobs. And we just, like I said, I'm very thankful because they work their butts off on their jobs, and they do an amazing job. So our promotions team absolutely killed it with getting Never Turned Around to 37. Mom and I were on radio tour from April of 2018 till about September of 2018, constantly just meeting all the stations. And I made some amazing relationships and friendships that I'm going to cherish for the rest of my life just through meeting those stations. And they're amazing people. And so the fact that through this, I got to meet all these people, and I've got to see parts of the country I'd never thought I'd see. I'd never been to New York before I went on radio tour. And blows my mind.
What'd you think of New York?
I loved it. So like we spent most of our time in upstate New York. We only spent one day in the city the first trip, and it blew my mind to see that, oh my gosh, upstate New York is literally like Western Kentucky. There's nothing different like where I'm from. Like it's the country, and I love it. There's literally just country. It's Tennessee or in Kentucky, everywhere basically, even in upstate New York. And so that's what, when people ask me like where one of my favorite places I went, I always say upstate New York, just because it blew my mind, because I grew up, seeing New York on TV. It's all New York City, it's just one big city. There's nothing left to the state.
Right.
And so when I went up there, I was like, oh my gosh, like we got lost going to one of the radio stations and ended up in a dairy barn. Like,
yeah,
it was amazing. I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah. It's like driving through Pennsylvania and seeing all the Amish and the horse and buggies, and you don't even realize that that's like real life,
Yeah.
For majority of the country, there's a lot of that.
It is. It's amazing. Like I had never been to anywhere up there, and we're going to go back up there later this year, I think, and do some stuff up in Delaware, but I'd never been anywhere over there. And I think later this year we're going to radio tour and do the western side of the states. So I've been to California once, but I flew. But I think we're going to make a road trip so I can go to all of the states. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've always had a goal like of just taking a road trip from probably like Dallas, Texas to LA. Like I just want to drive through there.
Yeah, I think what we're going to do is we're probably going to fly into LA or somewhere like that, because we have a station out in Santa Barbara. Meet them, and then we're going to rent a car and then just drive it back.
Keep me posted. I'll live vicariously through you.
Yeah, there'll be lots of pictures.
Yeah. So you have a new single coming out. Maybe I can get you to perform it here in a little bit. We can do like a live thing. That'd be pretty cool. It's called Boy in a Band. It just came out. You have a music video for that. So tell me about what the song is about and kind of how it came to life.
Yeah. So Boy in a Band, it impacted radio earlier this year, and we're very happy with the success it's had. It's been our fastest climbing single to date. So
congratulations.
Thank you so much, Country Radio. Thank you.
Yeah.
So we'll see where it goes with this one, but we've been, so Boy in a Band, I wrote it with my good friend Miss Sydney St. George, who's an awesome writer from out in Colorado, and she's here now. And at the time I was 17 and she was 19 or something. We were just two teenage girls just sitting around in her living room playing with her dog, just talking about everything. And then which obviously we're musicians, so we like guys that are musicians, and her boyfriend's in a band, and I was a 17-year-old girl, so I'm gonna crush on any guy that's in a band, and we were talking about some guys that we really liked, and we ended up writing a song about them, and it's called Boy in a Band. This has been such a fun song just to play live, and the fact that it ended up getting to be a single is really awesome, and the fact that country radio is loving it the way they are has been absolutely amazing, and it's a fun little song.
Good. Yeah, because Founder of Freedom was a little bit more, had a deeper message.
It did. It definitely did.
And it's cool to see you, playing around with the different styles and things like that.
Both of our first singles had deeper messages. I mean, Founder Freedom was about a girl who literally escaped not getting to be free through music. She found her guitar and just decided that's what she wanted to do with life, and she was able to create her whole life out of just her and a guitar. It is not my story. I swear. Everyone always asks me that. It is not. My parents have given me full liberty to do everything. My mama moved here to Nashville with me. My daddy's in Kentucky making money to support me. So, and then Never Turned Around was a very serious one about a young love kind of gone wrong, that someone, the guy went off to college and she had to watch him go away and he never came back, stuff like that. And not a personal story at all either, but getting to write those kind of songs and getting to see them, see how they affect them, and how people have actually experienced those events, and how the songs can help them through things they're going through is amazing. So then when we came out with this fun single, I'm like, we'll see what happens. And they're loving it. It's so much fun.
You have a new EP. It came out this past July. You wrote every single song on that EP.
Yes.
How empowering is that to be a songwriter that you just been able to kind of hone in on, have an entire EP based on everything that you want to express? How many songs are on the EP?
So there are 7 on the EP. We cut a lot more than that. So we were going to do a full-length album. Then we decided, hey, let's just do an EP for now. So we've got still some songs to release for everybody. But it was awesome. And, I got to sit down with some of the best writers in this town and some of my best friends and just get to write songs and pour our hearts out. And now people are listening to them and sending me messages of them singing them and stuff like that and telling me which ones are their favorite songs. And I just got a fan letter from somebody in Germany telling me that one of my songs is one of their favorite songs. And
that's amazing.
It's just like absolutely crazy that we just sat down and we're talking and pouring our hearts out in a song, and it's affecting people the way that it is.
Such a cool feeling when people, connect to you like that. And it's just like, wow, sometimes you just work every day and you're kind of like, I don't even know this even matters. And then those kind of validations just really make it all worth it. So that's amazing.
Does.
Who's you producing you? Who you kind of working with? Who's your favorite songwriters so far that you've been working with?
I've been working with so many songwriters, so I love them all. But I feel like one of the songwriters that's been probably the most influential on my career, and helped me the most and made me realize, because I started really writing a lot when I was 15. And my first write, I'd been writing and co-writing and stuff, but the first write that I had with an established writer, let's say it that way, was with Miss Cindy Limbaugh Torres, and she's had some Garth Brooks cuts and had some big things. And I was so nervous going into that write because I was like, oh my gosh, like Garth Brooks is my favorite artist. She's had a Garth Brooks cut. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I'm so nervous. I don't know what I'm going to say. And she was able just to sit there and make me feel like I had a voice. I was 15 in a room with a Garth writer. Like,
how did you get even to that?
Yeah,
being 15 and writing with Garth Brooks writer.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was absolutely crazy. Actually, I met her at a writer's night one night, and she messaged me. She wanted me to teach her how to play. She wanted me to teach her guitar, and so that was going to be our deal. She's a really good player, but she's like, let's work on it. And then we ended up writing from that, and she just made me feel like I had this voice and was able to just say anything, and there was no judgment, anything, and she was helping me put them into songs. And so she's just been a true, like, my songwriting mentor from the beginning, just helped me from so much and has been there with me through a lot of things. And so definitely Cindy, and there's just been so many, other established writers that have brought me in and just listened to me no matter how old I am, how inexperienced or whatever, they've been there, and they've made me feel so welcomed into the community. And so it's been amazing. So I've been writing with like Cindy and Scott Barrier and Billy Lee, and just recently started writing with some other guys that I'm very excited to be writing with. So
that's great. Yeah. You have obviously a growing fan base, probably a lot of young girls, perhaps girls that are looking to get into this business. What would be something that you would want to let them know as some advice, maybe something that you wish you knew, 4 or 5 years ago?
Yeah. So when I came to Nashville right around the time I turned 12. So I've been here for quite a while. Mm-hmm. But one of the first things I was told when I was 13, when I was really getting into it was, when you come here, you have to be the deal. So you need to be ready for that record deal at any time. You don't need to, have something for them to hesitate. Just be ready, be your deal. I still take vocal lessons. I still take guitar lessons. I still do everything.
That's amazing. I want you to say it louder for people in the back. You still take voice lessons, guitar lessons. That's something that I find as a producer and someone that's working in the industry as well, that so many times people negate that and they neglect it. And I love hearing you touch on that and say that you're currently still doing that, because it is so, so important. I think that's amazing. What else would you advise?
Yeah, so like I said, just hone your craft, learn who you are, and know who you're going to be. Don't let anyone change you. You know who you are, and be who you want to be, and be able to voice that. If somebody wants to sign you, but they want you to do something you're not comfortable with, then maybe those aren't the people you want to be signed with. You should be you.
Yeah, that's true.
So just be who you feel like you were meant to be, and just own it and be that deal, and just be that person.
Is that something that you sort of had to learn over the years, or is that just something that came naturally to you when you were 12?
Luckily, that's just something that has come natural to me. Somebody told me that a long time ago, and that's always stuck with us. But I've never tried to be anything I'm not. Even from a little girl, I was who I am and had the attitude, if you don't like that, you don't like it,
Yeah.
So I've always had that kind of just, I know who I was and I knew who I wanted to be. When I was growing up, I was a little tomboy, and if that's who I was, I wanted to run around playing the mud and ride four-wheelers. That's all I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And so when I came to Nashville, I've grown up on a farm. I've grown up in country music. Like, I grew up into it. It wasn't something that, like, somebody asked me when I found country music. I'm like, what do you mean when I found it? Like, my life that's it. We had one country station or two country stations, and that's all we listened to. We had a pop station, and I listened to it some, but, you know, if I could listen to Garth, I'd rather listen to Garth, you know?
Yeah.
And so I just luckily just had that, and I had the strong support system behind me. Like, at home, all of my family and my mom and my dad and my brother and everyone just, they knew what I wanted, and they let me go. I mean, I moved down here when I was 15. Like,
right.
It was a little crazy, you know, to let your daughter, which my mom moved with me, but even for my dad and my grandmother and everyone, they were losing part of their family because they were letting me
that
do
is
my
such
dream.
That is such a sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even imagine doing that at that age, but I think it's so necessary to really prove to the industry that you are serious about
Mm-hmm.
this. This isn't just a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't a little side thing. Like, you are 100% dedicated, and I think that's what it takes. And not in every circumstances, but in most circumstances, especially being a strong, independent female like yourself, making that statement of owning who I am, this is who I am, and not apologizing for anything like that or trying to compensate or make excuses. So I think just those actions itself really validate that this is who you are and this is the artist that you want to be, which kind of leads to something big happened to you this past spring. You were invited to get on Tin Pan South, which I did that in 2017, and it's really hard to get on a round with Tin Pan South, and it provides so much. If you're not a writer, it doesn't really matter, but as a writer, it's one of the most biggest things you can do as a writer. How was your experience, and how you feel like that's helped you to this point?
Yeah, so luckily I've been a member of NSAI since I was 13, so I've been around there, and I used to drive to Nashville for the meetings here weekly because I love the Nashville chapter.
What is
so
NSAI,
much.
in case people don't know what that is?
Yes, for people who don't know, NSAI is the Nashville Songwriters Association International. So, like, my buddy Lance says he decided he wanted to get into songwriting. He Googled songwriting. The first thing that popped up was NSAI. They've been an amazing organization. They're a champion for songwriters. Right now, they've been on Capitol Hill trying to get us all the money that the songwriters deserve. You know, they're an amazing organization that Bart and all them are running over there. So NSAI owns Tin Pan South and operates Tin Pan South. And so Tin Pan South is the largest songwriting festival in the world. I think we had 400 writers this year, 10 venues, and there's 2 shows a night at each venue. So I had my best friends are in a duo called Matfield Green, and we had this idea we wanted to get around together. But, you know, normally when you play Tin Pan South, you have to be a hit writer. You have to have had some kind of recognition of some way. So we decided to team up. So they got a good friend to play, and I got a good friend who's a hit writer to play. So we had 2 hit writers and 2 independents. So the fact that NSAI kind of took that chance and put 2 independent artists in a round blew my mind. So when we got the message that said we'd been accepted, I cried. I was like, and I don't cry very often. It sounds like I cry a lot, but I really don't. And so I was like, oh my gosh. And the fact that they did that just is so amazing. They're such an awesome organization. I can never show how grateful I am to them enough, because the fact that they took that chance. So we ended up getting to play. It was myself, Matfield Green, and our buddies Joel Shoemake and Tony Arata. Joel wrote The Family Man by Craig Campbell, and God Made a Woman by Jared Neiman, and he's had all these big cuts. And then Tony's had some big cuts, but the biggest one you're ever going to know is The Dance by Garth Brooks. So everyone's heard that song.
Oh yeah.
So it was an absolute just dream come true, and it was so weird because we had to like apply. Like, we had to get our round together and get it submitted and everything in January. And it was like, okay, we found out we got in. And then we found out, like, the venue. And then all of a sudden it was there. It was like, okay, now we're standing in the middle of Bluebird and Tony Arata sitting next to me playing the dance. Like,
so it was at the Bluebird.
I got to play the Bluebird. It was my Bluebird debut. So
yes.
It was absolutely nuts.
That's amazing.
And
were you able to get that on video, or?
We got some. We could video me. We couldn't video, like, my mom could video my songs and stuff like that, because they're very the Bluebird is an awesome venue. They want you to be there and experience it. You know, they don't really like the whole video thing. So, but I've got that memory my whole life, getting to play my closing song, and then Tony just going in and playing the dance. It was just crazy, and ending around with that. So it's still weird to me that it's already happened. It's like it was a dream, because that's been a while ago now. But March. It's like, yeah, it was in March, and it's like, oh my gosh, that happened what are we going to do for next year? Like, I'm already thinking, I'm like, okay, next year, who am I going to get? Like, what are we going to do?
Well, next year you'll have a hit song, and then you can set up your own round. That is so amazing. I've done the Bluebird too, and it's just, if you have not done it, it's hard to really describe the feeling of being.
Oh gosh, yes.
I've been in the audience, and I've also been on the performing side, and it's such a magical place, and how captive I've never had a more captive audience.
Oh no, you definitely haven't.
Like, you can literally hear a pin drop because everyone there is there to see you. They know your songs, they know your work. So that's amazing. I am so proud that you were able to get that.
Yes,
and hopefully there'll be many more.
Yes.
So one of the biggest, you talked about God and faith a minute ago and paying homage to that. You have every episode of Sonic Female, I like to bring on the guests and we talk about something that sort of matters to them in a little bit of that human interest platform. So you have a ministry called Melody for the Elderly, where you sing for residents, long-term assistance healthcare facilities. In 2014, you were named Youth Volunteer of the Year from the Kentucky Association of Long-Term Healthcare Facilities, and you've been working with that HHH hospitality house ever since. So talk about that a little bit more. How did you get involved in that, and why you do that?
Yeah, so I was taking guitar lessons, and I was looking for everywhere to play, and my teacher made the comment, like, why don't you go to like some healthcare facilities and see if they'll let you play and everything. And we went over to one close to my hometown in Kentucky, and I played them a few songs, and it was just amazing to see the response that music had for them. So a lot of the residents there didn't have family that came and visited them every week, didn't have family that got to come and visit them at all, So I started going every week, and I could just see what music would do when they heard the music start playing. We had, I'll never forget her. It was like in the first couple months, we were there. She actually was there my first week, and every week she would come up to me, but she was an actual coal miner's daughter. I mentioned that Coal Miner's Daughter was one of the first songs I ever learned, and she was from Butcher Holler, Kentucky. It's like, wow, what the heck? Like, that's crazy that all that, roundabout thing, but she came up to me and she would tell me that story. Well, she would come up to me every week and tell me that story.
Yeah.
So she, she had Alzheimer's, but the fact that the song made her remember, she could remember her childhood, and it just showed to me what music does. And then one of my best friends ever I met through Melody for the Elderly, his name is Joe. He passed away a few years ago. He lived to be about 97. But he was in a wheelchair, but he was doing his physical therapy, and he was walking, and they were walking with him one day, and he just kind of took control, and he came over to me, and I'd seen him before, and I'd never met him though, but he came over to me and he said, I want you to sing me a love song. And I was like, okay. So I played him a love song, and in the middle, he waved over to my mama and he said, come here. And she was like, what? And he's like, come here. And he grabbed her arm and he stood up and started dancing. He'd been in a wheelchair for, I don't know, like he could walk like for a few feet at a time, but he stood up and he danced with my mama while I sang that love song. And it just blew my mind to see
the power of music.
The power of music. And music heals. Like I'm a witness to that. I've been through some things. One of my best friends passed away, and the most healing I found through him and through what happened in the situation was writing a song about it. And I used to be the person, I would not write a song about what I was feeling. I didn't want people to see what I was feeling because I didn't think people cared. But just to be able to sit down and write a song about what you're going through, can heal me. So I'm like, if it can heal me this way, then it can heal others. So I like to spread music and spread joy through music, because a lot of people just need joy and they need happiness. And so just to be able to go to those
everyone needs joy and happiness.
Yes.
Yeah.
So just to go to those long-term healthcare facilities and assisted living facilities and see these people who haven't had people visit them, it meant the world to me, and I hope it meant something to them. And I love doing it. We did it for about 6 years before we moved down here, and I've been working with some organizations here in Nashville as well. I've been doing some stuff with the Hospitality House, which is an amazing organization here in Nashville. They are a home for residents. They're a home for patients at the area hospitals. So They help you find a place to stay, because if you're going to have to be here, we had an event a couple weeks ago for them, and they brought in one of the people that had been a resident with them, and he was 16 and had a heart transplant. Wow. But because he had a heart transplant, he had to live near Vanderbilt. they're from Alabama, and they didn't know what to do.
Wow.
They came up here in their car, and they were like, what do we do, you know? And HHH was able to help them find an affordable apartment that day and get them somewhere where they felt safe and they felt like they could have a home, even though they were going through this horrible thing. Their family was all separated. So I've been working with them on their fundraising events and helping them. We do a lot of fundraising to help because they're a nonprofit. So they're completely donation funded, and every cent helps because you're helping people like that and that family and people who are coming in from all over the world. We have people coming to Nashville every day from all over the world to go to Vanderbilt, and there's nowhere for them to stay unless you want to pay $250 a night at a hotel. And then sometimes you can only get that for a couple days. And when you're supposed to be here for 6 months, that's a house payment.
Yeah, what do you do?
So they're an amazing organization. I've been very blessed to be able to help out with HHH. And I've also continued some of the melody for the elderly stuff here in Nashville. I've done some work with some assisted and long-term healthcare facilities in Rutherford County, and I recently started working with a foundation called I'm Not Alone that does events with American Cancer Society for the cancer patients here in Nashville. So
thank you. That is amazing. I commend you. That's really, really great. I hope you keep it up.
Thank you. And it's always been on my heart to share the music with people. So I don't do it for me. I do it for them, and I want them to feel some of the joy that music gives me.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. So what is the next chapter for you?
So we've been working on booking a lot. We're trying to do a lot more full band stuff. So we're doing that, and I just went in the studio and cut a couple new songs to put out as some singles. So we're excited. We have no dates, no anything. We just got them done.
Who's your producer?
So we're working with the Couch Room Studios here in Nashville now. Eric Torres.
Yes. I know who Eric is. Yes, he is absolutely
amazing. He's an amazing producer and just an amazing guy.
Yep.
So we started working with him on this new project, and so we're very excited to get it out, and we're just
I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Do you have anything we can play right now? Do you have any tracks, or is it all kind of working right now?
It's all kind of working. So
okay.
We don't have any tracks right now. We have the tracks, but we're keeping them on the down low.
Is it more country pop, country rock, southern rock? Like where's the direction?
We are going very country rock. So like I said, I grew up on traditional country, so that definitely comes through some, but I also, played in a metal band, so that's coming through some. So it's a little bit of everything, but
I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, we're very excited for everyone to hear.
For those of you who don't know who Eric is, I actually, he mixed a few of my tracks a couple years ago, and
awesome.
he was amazing, but he actually had a #1 song just recently with Jimmy Allen.
Yes.
Producing his stuff. So I'm really proud of Eric's progress and is just doing what he does. So that's cool you're working with him. When is the album? Is it an EP album? What
right now, we just started with a couple singles.
Okay, so singles. Great.
Yeah, so we don't have any dates. We don't have anything. Like I just cut the vocals, just finished the vocals the other day. So
okay. So this is new.
It's brand new. So we'll figure it out, which we're going to wait till Boy in a Band, comes off the charts. But we've already got hopefully we have the next radio single picked out, and it's done now. We just got to wait for the final mix.
Absolutely.
But we're very excited for the whole world to hear it. And it's a song that if you've been to a live show, you've heard it. But we're excited for the rest of everyone to hear it.
Yeah. I'd love to see you get on, the next Women of Country tour.
Yeah.
Or, Miranda Lambert has this, whole tour.
The whole women tour, yeah.
So if y'all are listening, call my girl Dallas. You got to get her on
Hey,
that.
Miranda. People say I look like you. Maybe we should tour together.
You do look like her.
Thank you.
Would you like to sing a song?
Yeah, totally.
All right, let's do that.
Sun-kissed skin, ready to get in some trouble. You were in that Jeep, waiting on me, yelling, come on. Pulling in all nighter, coming home at sunrise. We made the best of your last night in town, till our time ran out. You were 18 and ready to leave. I was 16 and in your way. I was holding you back from your dreams and the things you wanted by begging you to stay. around a bonfire. I fell in love for the first time. That was the summer of my life. So many secrets that we kept between us. I remember them all to this day. We were young and crazy. You were 18 and ready to leave. I was 16 and in your way. I was holding you back from your dreams and the things you wanted by begging you to stay. You had my heart in the letter I wrote you, hoping it would change your mind and slow you down. But you never turned around. And I said I wouldn't wait, but I've been counting down. Anytime you come back around. You were 18 and ready to leave. I was 16 and in your way. You were 18 and ready to leave. I was 16 and in your way. I was holding you back from your dreams and the things you wanted by begging you to stay. You had my heart in the letter I wrote you, hoping it would change your mind and slow you down. And slow you down. But you never turned around. Ooh, you never turned around.
That was my guest, Dallas Remington. You guys can check her out right now on social media and her website. Thank you guys so much for listening to another episode of Sonic Female. I am Justine Blazer. Have a great day. Until next time.